Hi, Chris Duff over at Serious Land Capital, vacant land funding partner. Today I wanted to provide another update on LandPricer here. I know I just discussed this a couple of days ago regarding some of the trouble with the engineering team sorting out a bug and not the best communication going back and forth. I try to balance out the topics on the pod, and I know I just discussed LandPricer the other day here, but because this was such a kind of key turning point, and there's very significant updates even over the past couple days, I felt it was relevant to jump back into this because there's so many general applications, across pretty much any business owners. To recap where we're at, LandPricer.ai, if you haven't signed up already, it's the software I've been working on for over a year now, trying to simplify and accurately price land across the US, basically taking all of the techniques that we've built with within our own internal systems in Serious Land Capital and putting that into software form, given how difficult it can be to properly price land, especially if you're operating in markets that you're not familiar with. So many things can change, even county by county, let alone state to state or different areas of the country. So the thing I discussed is that I was anticipating having beta invites out, over a couple weeks ago at this point. But the key feature for LandPricer is to actually provide the summary for the price for any piece of land that's being reviewed internally. So that was not working. So it didn't make sense to beta test anything until we could sort that piece out, because that's the most critical feature more than anything else. And there was just kind of continued miscommunication and delayed communication and lack of progress from the side of the engineering agency that I was working with, and just kind of had growing frustration about this, to where really had to escalate significantly over the last couple days. Initially, now I'm speaking a couple of days ago, we had a team call and we had an updated approach for how to tackle this pricing summary bug issue. And I was promised a result or a debug pathway to at least solve one particular property that had already been reviewed by US AM hours the next day. Again, I had remarked before, there can be a bit of a time zone difference here. The primary engineers working on this are based in Pakistan, and then there's a US-based project manager, so you have to account for some time zone differences. And so, okay, I took these guys at their word, and the following morning comes, I didn't have the debug pathway, and so I wrote a pretty firm message within Slack, just to basically summarize, just mentioning, hey, this was promised to me here. Not sure what has happened with the communication, as particularly over the last few weeks. And I try to layer in some positivity, right? If you just lay into people and start throwing insults around like that, that's never going to motivate people, and just kind of creates even more bad blood. But at the same time, you have to get the point across of, hey, I'm very displeased with how things are going. So, I re-summarized, hey, I'm still very excited about this project. I think we're just about there. I've been testing it. We're overall in a good direction. I have, tons of land investors who keep asking me, when is this thing going to be released? That I'm already like very highly invested in this. And I mentioned, hey, like we're already over budget here. Out of my personal checkbook, I've already, invested over $50,000 USD into paying your agency directly for this. And we're already a couple months behind with getting beta invites out. So like the level of urgency and communications that are requested and frankly required are not being met here. So, if your team and agency isn't able to support me as a client anymore, like just let me know. But if we do not address this by today, and I'm speaking from yesterday's perspective, then I'm gonna have to go start recruiting other agencies to move forward and get this project actually out and tested publicly and then fully launched here. It kind of summarizes. Yes, it was very firm message. Trying to lay out my perspective as much as possible, and again, like the level of urgency needed, disappointment, the frustration, what is going on here. And that message was received there. So they took that seriously. Project manager and the head of the engineering part of the agency, they got together. They put their best engineer full time on this project. Now we're having daily stand-up calls. Also, I had indicated, I forgot to mention within that summary, is I said, always solution focused, right? Like no one just wants to hear complaints or even kind of feelings that you have to propose something that's going to help solve the problem. Otherwise, it's just not ever going to be that helpful. So I'd also proposed, hey, going forward here, like on today's call, I'm going to be requesting and requiring every engineer who's working on this project, I need to know their precise hours that they have allocated to this project, both in local Pakistan hours and US hours. Direct assignable tasks within the task management software we're using, ClickUp in this case, that I can follow and are being checked off routinely. So it's not like a static check off. It's dynamic daily updates, me being tagged on each task on a daily basis and knowing who is assigned to do that, so I can more rigorously track what is being done and where hours are being spent on this project. So that was accounted for as well by their team. So we had a follow-up call about that. So yeah, kind of the key things was, okay, put their best engineer on this full time, daily updates, and them making a promise, okay, all remaining bugs and tasks that are currently in ClickUp are going to be addressed by the end of next week. No ifs, ands, or buts. And on the call itself, the project manager, was fortunately very apologetic, took full responsibility for this issue, and also said that he wasn't going to be charging any more of his hours worked on the project. Plus, they were going to be refunding me, or at least not, because the hours were in arrears, but not charging me for the whole past 2 weeks of work, especially like 30 plus hours that were allocated to this simulation project that was supposed to uncover the pricing bug that I mentioned at the top of this call, but I felt it was going to be an inappropriate approach, and it ended up being the case there. They totally erased those hours, said, yeah, that's our bad here. And pretty much immediately on that subsequent call, we started getting to the bottom of the pricing bug error. I was working hand in hand with the team to solve that, and then had another subsequent call with the project manager today, have another call in a few minutes after this podcast, again, to continue working on it. So the ongoing progress actually seems to be nailing the problem that needs to be addressed. And this is the thing too, like, ultimately I appreciate, the agency, they took responsibility, and it would have been a huge hassle if I had to recruit another agency, especially right at the end of the MVP progress, the MVP release, have to transfer, or get them to review the whole code base and understand everything that's been done so far. Like that's a big hurdle to do. So, I was really hoping I wasn't going to have to pull that trigger, but I was prepared to do so if needed. Ultimately, like, this is something I should have been doing months ago. So, this has been a learning process for myself as well, just having even more oversight from a managerial perspective. And I think I separated myself a little bit because, I'm not a software engineer myself. So it was a little harder for me to follow everything that was going on behind the scenes. But because I'm the visionary for the project, and like the Hormozis always mention, the person with the most context within a company makes the best decisions. And so me being on these calls and continuing to walk through, okay, here is precisely what needs to happen, is key for all the other stakeholders to understand. So, I could have been communicating even better and been a bit more forceful with my involvement from the start to ensure that people were managing their duties appropriately. And I think this is especially important when you're working with agencies, because like your project is never going to be solely what they're focused on. You have no idea how many other clients they're taking on, how many hours are actually allocated to your project. And oftentimes, like, you might get really good service right off the bat, and then as the project becomes more mature, they take on other clients and start putting a good foot forward for others. Like, it's fairly common when you work with agencies, that level of oversight and laying down the stakes, and not just being willing to roll over is really key here. Overall, I'm feeling better than I was 2 days ago. It's definitely taking a lot of time to sort these issues out. So been kind of scrambling in between meetings. It's more of a manager schedule versus a maker schedule at the moment, but that is what is required right now. So just wanted to share that with you all. I think there are some key lessons here. To summarize, don't just accept what is given to you. Like, you can, be a squeaky wheel. Like, I was able to negotiate. I kept saying, hey, I don't think I should have to pay for this. I don't think this was the right approach here. Like, if you're the visionary for the project, like, fight for what, should be fair. And if something, it hasn't gone the way that, was effectively promised, bring that up. And every day counts when it comes to getting progress done here. So the earlier, the better of addressing things. I should have taken even earlier action here. It kind of came to a head in a major way over the last couple of days, but I think we're starting to smooth it out a lot more. So wanted to provide an update for you all here, and hopefully that helps on your journeys as business owners as well. If you're looking for funding, seriousland.capital, land daily diligence, zero cost review of your land deals on Facebook. About to do another one in about half an hour from now, and obviously LandPricer.ai, which I just discussed over the course of this podcast. See you next time. Bye.